All right, students, welcome back. Lesson 23. This is the last lesson of topic C. Then we're going to move on to systems of equations. So right now we're just graphing equations, and we have two different types of equations. We have the standard form and we have the slope-intercept form. So we're going to convert back and forth between those two. And we are going to create two equations that are the same but have different coefficients. We're going to know that same equation have different looks, and we know they're the same because they graph the same line. So let's start out by sketching the graph of this equation. So if we have 9x plus 3y equals 18, we're going to graph it setting the intercepts. So set x to 0 and solve for y. So if x is 0, then 9 times 0 is 0, that's gone. I have 3y equals 18. Divide by 3 on both sides, y equals 6. So when x equals 0, y equals 6. That's our first intercept. That's our y-intercept. Now we're going to do our x-intercept. We're going to set y to 0. So 3 times 0 is gone. So we have 9x equals 18. We're going to divide by 9 on both sides of the equal sign. So our x equals 2. So when our y equals 0, our x is going to be 2. So we have 2 points that we can graph on the line. And just to sketch it, we're going to say here's our x-axis, here's our y-axis. And we have 0, 6, and 2, 0. So we just graph 0, 6, and 2, 0, and we draw a line between them. Okay? That's our sketch of our graph. Easy peasy. Now let's take a look at this equation. Y equals negative 3x plus 6. And we're going to graph this on the same coordinate plane. So if you did this on paper, you're going to do it on the same piece of paper. First of all, our y-intercept is right here. So our y-intercept is 0, 6. And our slope is negative 3. So m equals negative 3. That's negative 3 over 1. So we're going to graph that again on the same piece of paper. If you're doing this at home, 0, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's put a couple of points over here just to see if it works. So 0, 6 is right here, if I can change colors. 0, 6. And then slope of negative 3 is down 3 and over 1. So that is 1, 1, 2, 3. So that is 1, 3. Okay. Draw a line between them. Right? So if you did it on the same piece of paper, you already know what I'm going to show you. If you didn't, here I have graphed the two equations. 9x plus 3y equals 18 and y equals negative 3x plus 6. And they graph the same line. And here are the points we had. We had the y-intercept was 0, 6. The x-intercept was 2, 0. And our slope was down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So we were at 1, 3. All 3 points are on the same line. That means these two equations are exactly the same. So let's put this one into standard form and see how the same they are. So if I add 3x to both sides, then I have 3x, so I add 3x to both sides. 3x plus y equals 6. Well, they're still not looking exactly the same, but if I multiply this whole thing times 3, then 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times y is 3y. And 3 times 6 is 18. So if I triple this equation, now I have the exact same equations, which is what I knew it was because it graphed on the same line. So there's a theorem that says if I have two equations that look different but graph the same line, then they're going to have equivalent ratios. So this one was 3x plus y equals 18. So what I'm saying is if I take A, B, and C and set them in ratios, 9 over 3 and 3 over 1, and this is 6, and 18 over 6, these are all going to be equivalent. 9/3 and 3 over 1 and 18 over 6 are all equivalent fractions, or equivalent ratios. They all equal 3. So if I have two equations in standard form that look different, but they graph the exact same line, then when I take the coefficients A, B, and C and put them into ratios, they are all equivalent. All right? And I could use that the other way around. I can say, well, if I just put these into ratios and they all become equivalent, then I know they're going to graph the same line, so I don't have to check. All right? So let's write two equations in the form ax plus by equals c, whose graphs are on this same line. Right? So first we have to create one of the equations. So to create the equations, we find 2 points on the line and find the slope between those 2 points. So this is -1, 2, and this is 2, -2. Right? So I'm going to find my slope, go to that slope formula. So 2 minus -2, 2 minus -2 over -1 minus 2, -1 minus 2. So 2 minus -2 is like 2 plus 2, so that's 4. -1 minus -2 is -3. So I have a slope of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So I have a slope of -4 over 3. And I know these 2 points are in my equation, so I can put them in my slope equation, y equals mx plus b. And so I'm going to pick whichever one I want. I'm going to pick this one. So this is y is 2. My slope is -4 over 3 times my x, which is -1 plus b. So -4 times -1 is +4 over 3. So this is 2 equals 4 over 3 plus b. I'm going to subtract 4 over 3 on both sides. So I have 2, let me put it in an area that's clean here. 2 minus 4 over 3 plus, oops, not plus, equals b. These cancel out, so 2 minus 4 over 3. So this is going to be 6 over 3 minus 4 over 3 equals b. 6 minus 4 is 2 thirds equals b. So this is 0 and 2 thirds. So my equation for this line, my slope-intercept form of the equation is y equals negative 4 thirds x plus 2 thirds. I want to put this into slope-intercept, or the standard form, so I have to add 4 thirds x on both sides. So I have 4 thirds x plus y equals 2 thirds. I know this is getting really long, right? These have to be integers, so I can't have fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything times 3. So 3 times 4 thirds, the 3's are going to cancel out. I'll have 4x. 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 2 thirds, the 3's are going to cancel out, so I'll have 2. So the equation for this line is, and let me do a different color so we can see, 4x plus 3y equals 2. So I did like 15 steps to get one equation, but I've got to get 2 equations. How do I get a second equation that I know is going to be the same line? Well, we just saw it before. If I multiply everything by a number, any number, I'm going to have an equivalent equation that graphs the same line. So I'm just going to multiply by a really simple number. I'm going to multiply by 2. So 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 3y is 6y. And 2 times 2 is 4. So my 2 equations in standard form that graph this line are 4x plus 3y equals 2 and 8x plus 6y equals 4. And I know it was a million steps, but we're on lesson 23. So a million steps is kind of expected because you learned 23 different skills in the last month or so. So what did we learn? We learned to convert a slope-intercept form of an equation to a standard form by adding or subtracting the x term from both sides. We multiplied the denominator by the denominator of the x term if necessary. And we know that equations in standard form that are multiples of each other are actually the same equation. So I know that was a lot of stuff. That's why it's very important to practice as many problems as possible. So do at least 2, but preferably all 5. But don't spend more than 15 minutes on homework unless you need more practice.